This is how it is with God. God goes, I think I'm going to vibrate. And when God vibrates, it manifests. And when it manifests this and that. It and the observers. All this it, you are an it to me, but I am an observer, and vice versa. You feel like you're the subject, and I'm the it, right? But it's all God stuff, vibrated out into the world as a display of light and shadow and color and feeling, etc. And so when we look as part of this vibratory mess out here, when we look, we just see pieces. That's all we can see. And the only part that's really that is connected back to the one presence, one power, that very source of everything out here, the one that is, you're going to find that not through the mind or the body, but through this deepening into this God self within you. Hi, y'all. I was gone last week. For those of you who didn't know that, I was up at a retreat in Garrison, New York, which was held in an old convent, a beautiful building. There were about 85 of us at this retreat, and the retreat was in a non-dual tradition, which is, I'll give you just an idea what that is, if I can. And so we did meditation twice a day, and lecture or question and answer once a day, 3 meals a day, about 5 hours of conversation with people. It was really quite sweet. Bed by 9, up by 6, that kind of thing. On day 4 of that event, I woke up and I was thinking about how happy I've been. Now, one of the things that has helped me get happy has been, for about a 6-week period, I did an hour a day of gratitude. I had some place to go. I would go and come home, and in that time period, I would do gratitude. And ever since then, I've been happy, with almost no exceptions. A few, of course, but not much. And added to it has been this idea, this practice of meditation called non-dual, in which you begin to move yourself down toward the essence of who you are. You move toward that. Sometimes you land in it. Sometimes, in my case, you don't always get there, but you move toward it. And one of the things you're looking for is you're really just trying to move back to the core of who you really are, the very bone essence of who you are. And to move away from feeling like there was anything else you had to do to prove your worthiness or readiness to awaken to your true nature. You had only to go to that place. That's part of the non-dual practice, which is that you go deep into to this one, the one that's one with the one, that one. And I'll tell you in a minute how to get there, but I was going to say that on morning 4 of this event, I woke up, and as I began to think about my life, I began to cry when I was thinking about being here at this church. That this is like the weirdest, most beautiful thing that could have ever happened to me. That I get to stand up in front of people, and they listen to me for 20 minutes. And the beauty and the fortune of that thing just overwhelmed me. And lying on my back, and the tears streaming down. And I was talking to the teacher, his name is Rupert Spira, and I told him that. And he says, yeah, I know exactly what you mean. So now you have me, unfortunately or fortunately, one more time. So let me tell you what non-dual means. Non-dual essentially means there's not two. Not two things. There's not you and God. There's not the outer and the inner. There's just one. Perception would tell us that there's a me here and a that over there, and these are two different things. And for me to be successful, I usually need to get that to do something. And when that does something I like, I'm happy. And when that does something that doesn't please me, I'm unhappy or angry. And that is the opposite of a non-dual experience. A non-dual experience, you open your eyes and you see, but you see with this quiet understanding that as you see, it's not so much you are seeing, but that seeing is happening. And it's not so much that you're seeing you're just seeing the other side of self. That to form one thing and to have another is a practice of the mind, and if the mind is bypassed, the experience is that this is just one. That this is just one. If you get past your mind, you get to this place where the more primary reality is that you, and the very thing we have been calling God, well, that's the same. And the very things you're seeing out there is just the immanence of God, as is your mind and the way you feel. That's just the immanence of God. And when all that quiets down, what you're left with is this oneness. Now, Unity has been in business for about 135 years. And in that 135 years, one of the slogans that has come down to us is, there's only one presence, one power in my life, in the universe, God the good. And if you can unpack that, you will know exactly what I just said. That essentially there is only one, but we see a multiplicity. And we see a multiplicity largely because we think we're a body or a separate mind. And because we are separate, we see other things as separate. But when we recognize our oneness with oneness, well, then some of the separation goes away. And so the talk title today is, What If God Was One of Us? You know that song? Some of you do know the song. And you'll probably hear it soon. But the song is beautiful, and it says, what if God were one of us, just a slob like one of us? That is such a beautiful way of saying it, you know, not like God was evil and we could see through it, that the good was in there, or God is special, and there's only one or two people actually kind of achieve that. No, it's just a slob like one of us, just as average, slightly below average as you can get. Below average still makes it in Goddom. And so the question, of course, I'm going to give you a couple of analogies for your mind, but I want you to really sink into this question or sink into the experience more. Like, if you did not have your thoughts, if you don't have your feelings or emotions, and you don't have your story, and you don't have your body and all that, and what is left? And that is the very essence of who you are. And it is like this room. You know, if you think about this room, prior to it being a room, this was just space, right? Space. Part of the whole space. Space went out for 13, light years, 13 billion light years out. It's all one space, right? The universe, one space. And then in this area was one, but we put walls in it. And when we put walls, then this space, if it was a human being, starts to think, I'm really about this big. I'm about that tall. I have certain characteristics. I have a few windows. I have carpet. I'm really defined by my perimeter, not by the space. And the same happens with our minds. Our identity is, we have a body, and so then we think we must be the body. Or we have a mind or a story, and we think we must be the story or the mind. We're confined by that. But the space in this room is still the same space it was before it had walls. And you, before you had a body and a mind, you were that. And what is that? Well, what do we usually call it? God. And what's another name for God? If you are that. What's a common, very common, I bet you could tell me, you just don't know you can tell me. I. Because if I ask who you are, if you don't have anything else going on that you're going to have to tell me you are, you're going to say, who did that? And you go, I did. Who's having that feeling? I had it. Who had that thought? I had it. Who has those sensations? I have it. That I is the very same I that we call God. It is the space of this room, and the space in this room calls itself I. And if you were to scratch God and say, who are you? He goes, I am that I am. Right? You've heard that from childhood. If you're just a regular Bible reader, you've heard that, because Moses is asking, who's going to send me around to do these dangerous things? And that burning bush says, I am that I am. Self-evident. Self. I am the self. You are the self. Here's a story. Man buys a box of 1,000-piece puzzle. 1,000-piece puzzle. Maybe he just buys a 1,000-piece puzzle, and he opens the puzzle box, and there is, on the cover it has a beautiful maiden on a white horse in a green forest with a white dress on. But he opens the puzzle box, and there are these pieces. Not a single one of them looks like what's on the cover. So if he's like one of us, he would take it back and complain. I don't see the picture on the cover. We have our life. We get practiced in being a body and mind. Therefore, we become practiced at being the walls, not the content, not the space. We're the walls, and so we can only now, because we get so used to that, we can only see walls whenever we look out there. So when we look out upon the world, we see a fractured world like 1,000 puzzle pieces, all individual, none of them connected. Odd, some of them oddly shaped, some of them upside down even. That becomes our natural. We think, oh, this is the way it is. Lots of other people. I am a body, I am a mind. I have a limited amount of time on this earth, and when it happens, I'll be gone. But instead, you're really part of the puzzle, part of the whole, part of the thing that's on the cover, part of the thing we used to call God, that's on the cover, and you are a piece of that. I'm breathing a lot, aren't I? Not sure why that has to be that way, but I am anyway. All right. So, that's one analogy. Here's another one. This is for your mind to begin to soften, because you won't get it through your mind. Let me tell you why. The mind is part of the manifest world. The manifest world has certain characteristics. Those characteristics are like a dream. You go to sleep, you have a dream. In the dream, you're in the dream, but you're in the dream of someone else or within other circumstances. And you dream in this dream world, a world out there. And because you're not a happy person, you dream you're in Carrie. No, I'm kidding. Just a joke. Just a joke. You dream, and there's streets, and there are people, and there are things that happen, and all of that. That all happens. You're still the character in there. But when you wake up, and you realize, disappeared. All of that was mind stuff. Your mind. Your mind made the dream. In the dream, it was real. But in this life, it's not real. It just disappears. This is how it is with God. God goes, I think I'm going to vibrate. And when God vibrates, it manifests. And when it manifests this and that. It and the observers. All this it, you, are an it to me, but I am an observer, and vice versa. You feel like you're the subject, and I'm the it, right? But it's all God stuff, vibrated out into the world as a display of light and shadow and color and feeling it, etc. And so when we look as part of this vibratory mess out here, when we look, we just see pieces. That's all we can see. And the only part that's really that is connected back to the one presence, one power, that very source of everything out here, the one that is, you're going to find that not through the mind or the body, but through this deepening into this God self within you. Now, for those of you who meditate, you might know this sequence. You sit down to meditate, and your mind goes, blah, 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 right? Blah, 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 blah. And you have a mantra. Blah, 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 blah. Quiet. Or maybe you do Vipassana and you scan your body and you go, feeling, breathing, you do that whole thing. Right, y'all with me? Everybody, enough of you with me that I'll keep going. Anyway, you've had this experience and you go, silence. Now, the beautiful thing is that when you're in silence, it feels pretty good. The one thing about silence is the mind doesn't like it much. Have you noticed? Pops into silence and then it goes, hey, over here, look, this way. This is where the action is. Stay with me, right? So you go back. Hey, over here. If you want to know your true identity, when you go, then you go deeper. And when you go deeper, it goes from dark to light, from nothing to buzzy. And you feel the buzz of your deeper self. And when you stay there, you begin to get the feeling like, hey, this is cool. Nothing's happening, but nothing's missing. Nothing is in my head, but I'm happy. Nothing's going on except peace. I like it here. This is the non-dual experience. Because when you begin to do that, you begin to see the world when you come back up and all the fuzziness that's been going on with God vibrating in many different ways. What you begin to see is, oh, that's just the same as the observer and the observed. That actually feels about the same. You're beginning to lose duality. And as you do this and do this, then you begin to realize that the part that knows this is the same part that is this. That only that can recognize itself. Only that can know itself. Because it's not buzzy. It is this deep beyond the buzz. It's this part. And when you land in this part, you're not landing in this part from this over here, this that's just calmed down enough to be silent. No, you're not in that. You have now turned and you have become the very thing you were looking for. As Meister Eckhart, 13th century mystic, would say, he says, the very eyes with which I look to God, look for God, God is looking for me. This is where he has that experience. He doesn't have it out here as he's walking around. Or maybe he does. But to find that experience, you go down here. You take all the furniture out of the room and all the people and all the noise, and then you look at the space that is the room. Before the walls, before an identity. And that becomes your new one. That becomes your realization. So that's that. And when you find that, what you find is what the song is saying. That even though you're a slob, you are God. Even though your life is not working, you are God. Even if you are the king of the universe, you are God. Everything about this out here is not your identity. Your identity has become the one that sees itself. I don't know. Is this making sense? Okay. I believe T.S. Eliot said something like this, a bad paraphrase, that we can't help but go exploring because it's just our nature. We will go exploring. We will be in the phantasmagoria of God's vibratory dream. That's where we will be. We can't help but go and look and feel and all of that. And then, because at some point in the looking and feeling of this whole experience, we go, if I got 10 more of what I used to think I wanted, I wouldn't be any happier than I am today. Especially if they're wives. And, or husbands, either one. One is enough. And if I had more money, I can't get there. If I went to Las Vegas 1,000 times, I wouldn't get happier. There must be some other way to be deeply fulfilled and happy. What is that? Oh, I'm going to be spiritual. I'm going to go and learn to chant, and I'm going to learn all this stuff. It's going to be great. And it is. But it's only preparation for you to wake up to your divine identity. And this has been tantalizingly close for years for many of us. And all I'm saying is, now that you've found silence, go deeper. Hang out in the non-dual experience and realize that the only part of you that knows that is the part of you that is that. And that's why it's been so elusive. Because you can't get there from here. From here, you can't get there. Now, you really can get right next to there, but to get there, you stop being the mind and the body, and you become God looking for God. And I don't even like to use the word God, but I'm beginning to take a shine to it right now, because it's really hard to describe anything that is that very creative, peaceful, loving experience that is shared by you at your depth, but also by everybody else. And that's when God becomes one of us. When you recognize the very energy that you are is the same energy that they are, and yes, they look like puzzle pieces on the surface, but underneath it, they are God itself. And the puzzle pieces may look a little different. David Johnson said, I want you to use this. So, David, essentially it says in this song, how will I see you in those I despise? And the answer is, you will see them when you see me in their eyes. And I will say, my own line, you will see them when you see through my eyes. Do you get that? Kind of the same, little quirky difference. Your eyes are God's eyes. And when you see with your God's eyes and not with your manifest eyes, you will begin to see that even the despised is one of us, God. Let us pray. Okay, let's go really fast, okay? Probably not. All right, let's do this. I want you to just begin to practice doing your quiet thing, and then know beneath that is something else. So let's start by paying attention to the breath, as we always have. We pay attention because it starts the steadying of the mind so it can drop down deeper. And you feel the feelings of the body, so you recognize that you are not those feelings, because if they were you, you couldn't see them. You need distance to be able to see something. So you're not your breath, you're not your feelings. And now you notice you see your thoughts and you're not your thoughts, because you have to have distance to be able to recognize something. You can't see your own eyeballs, so now you see your thoughts. And now for a moment, imagine that you no longer have feelings in this space, that the space that you are doesn't have feelings. And the space you are doesn't have sensations. And now for the big one, and the space you are doesn't have thoughts. And if you were to answer my question, who's having this experience, or who is in here anyway, you would say, I am. With no dimensions, with no texture. Just I am. And now, rest your awareness on this spacious I am. Welcome home. I hope you got something out of today's service. We intend to bring you things that will help you in your life become more of who you want to be, give you the freedom of forgiveness and the hope of expectancy that your life will unfold in a way that brings you joy, happiness, and is a contribution to the world. If you would like to contribute to this ministry, please go to unitytriangle.org, hit the donate button, and it will lead you into an easy way of doing that. We thank you for your attention and look forward to seeing you again here.